the guy or gal. It's everybody's favorite day of the week. It's Friday, and people like it for various reasons, but usually people like it most for Freehands Friday.
Yay!
And we got a very special Boston-based stick player today, Claire Steger, and I'm Josh Goldberg, and I'll be hosting. So, Claire, why don't you say hi and introduce yourself a little bit?
Hey there. I'm Claire. First of all, thank you, Josh, for inviting me and
Yeah,
hosting all this. I've
thanks for being on the show.
been really enjoying these, so it's a treat to actually get to attend one.
Yeah,
Much
right?
less get to chat a lot. So, yeah. So yeah, like you said, I'm in Boston. I've been here a while. Still fairly new to stick. Been playing about 3 years.
Cool.
So,
Well, your Chopin piece video, you wouldn't be able to tell that that's all the amount of time that you've been spending on it with something like that.
thanks. That's I got a lot of really amazing responses on that one. So it's definitely inspiring me to try to record some more. So
Good, you should. Very cool.
gonna
Yeah, that
try to
was
get.
excellent.
Thanks.
So Claire, so tell
Yeah.
us why music? What led you here? Why are you doing this?
Why? Wow, that could take a
What's
long
wrong with
time.
you?
All right, I guess I'll just give an overview, kind of my musical background. You know what? I don't know. I just like music. I
Yeah.
think I've always been fascinated by sound in general. Um, I started lessons on piano when I was like 9, maybe. Um, and I was always one of those. I wasn't one of those kids that had to be coerced into practicing. I just always enjoyed it. Got into band in 6th grade, played saxophone, got into high school, and we had a really amazing band program. Just one of those band directors that really managed to kind of inspire everybody. I think a lot of my fellow high school guys they're actually, band directors themselves now. Just, a really great influence for all of us. So yeah, why music? I don't really know. I wish I did. I think maybe growing up, the music I was listening to just kind of inspired me.
Sure.
And just kind of that whole teenage thing, just an outlet for stuff.
What were you listening to a lot back then?
You had to ask.
Of course.
I was kind of always into like the '80s alternative.
Okay. Oh,
I was a
did you go ahead and walk around with the Devo hats and stuff?
I didn't. But yeah, '80s alternative. Big Peter Gabriel fan. I still am a huge Howard Jones fan. So kind of all the synth new wave. I guess maybe that got me more into like music tech, which is kind of what I do as a career.
Right. You're at Berkeley. You teach music tech?
I don't teach. I'm a director there, and I run the facilities for the electronic production and design department, which some people
Very
know
cool.
as the we used to be the music synthesis department. So
That's
I
cool.
get to run studios and labs and play with all kinds of fun gadgets, and hanging out with like music students is honestly the best. So.
Yeah. Very
uh,
cool.
So yeah, I mean, I guess continuing that journey, somewhere in high school, I decided I wanted to be an audio engineer. Again, I have no idea why. I just do random things, I guess. And I went to Berkeley. I did a dual major in production and engineering and film scoring. My goal at the time was to do engineering for audio and video.
Mm.
So I guess audio for video. So yeah, the MP&E program plus film scoring. It was kind of applied composition. Learned a lot of the tech stuff. So I did that, and I was actually one of those weirdos that continued all my private lessons on piano well beyond what you were required. A lot of the tech majors, I shouldn't say a lot. At the time, I knew fellow MP&E majors who just kind of sold their instruments when they were done with their requirements, which was like, wow. But I knew if I didn't take lessons, I'd stop playing, so I just kind of kept doing it, and got better. So it was worth it.
Very cool.
And yeah, when I got out of Berkeley, I realized I didn't really want to move out of New England, or at least not Boston, and not many post gigs in Boston. So I guess career-wise, I worked at a studio for a while, which is really fun. It was music studios, like an SSL Studer 48-track room. It was really fun. Eventually found my way to a pro audio shop where I did a lot of like design, installation, training, did a lot of Pro Tools rigs. set stuff up for people. And eventually, you know, the gig at Berkeley opened up, and I've been there like 13 years.
Nice.
Wow.
So,
Nice.
yeah, it's a great environment to be in. I mean, it's one of those places, like I said, we're all, you talk to anyone there, we're all there because the students, you know, it's just fun. You walk down the hall, take a break, and you hear like a gospel choir, a bluegrass band, and some death metal thrash going on. It's it's pretty fun.
Nice.
But I think on some level that's actually what led me to Stick, because I've known about Stick for a long time, I think. You know, obviously I knew of Tony Levin.
Yeah, if you were listening to Peter Gabriel, you must have.
Yeah. So I knew of the instrument, and I think, you know, I don't know that I ever looked very deeply into it. Guitar never made sense to me, because that 1/3 in there just throws me off.
Right.
And I guess I just assumed a stick was a lot like a guitar, and just never really looked into it.
What was the turning point?
It was actually a bit of an evolution, and another one of those random events, maybe. Like I said, I don't really have access to a piano. I don't have one, so I hadn't really been playing for a long time, and I realized I was missing that. And over the course of, you know, part of my job requires me to like know how all these gadgets work, so I've tried a ton of alternate controllers, and never found any of them to be really like satisfying, like playing an acoustic instrument. And through various classes I've taken, I took like an interactive video class, and that just got me interested in interactive music. And I don't know what triggered me to go look at a stick again, but when I finally really looked at it and looked at the layout and how it worked, and you know, just technically the outputs, I could get MIDI. It was like, it just clicked in my head that I could use that for an interactive system, and it would be kind of a perfect instrument, also have all the tactile feedback on it. And honestly, that's what I've been working on these 3 years, is actually my master's degree in interactive music. I think I ordered my stick and applied to grad school like the same month.
Nice.
It was really one of those, I'm just going to do this, and I did. So,
Cool. So I really want to talk about, you know, you just completed your master's, right?
I did.
Okay, so and like you said, I think you mentioned it. It's very stick based.
It is, yeah.
Please enlighten us.
Yeah, it's going to be a little hard to explain, but I will try. I am actually, one of my goals soon is to set up a website where I'm hoping to start posting videos and information about kind of the evolution of what I'm working on and what I've been up to. Because
cool.
Unfortunately, the downside of grad school is like I really have no time, and just haven't had any time to kind of share what I've been working on.
Right.
But what I've been working on is an interactive performance system. So what that means is I've built a system that takes what I play and does various things with it, and takes how I play and applies that to various things as well. So I've built all this in a program called Max MSP and Jitter. Also Max for Live. So I'm using Live as kind of my mixer plugin thing for general plugins, but it's all custom devices that I've built. So one kind of key aspect, I have dual MIDI pickups on my stick, which I know everybody goes and like, but I don't really use synths. I don't play synths with the stick at all. I've actually through this evolution. I just love the sound of the stick and all the processing you can do, and it was actually one of my goals to not play any MIDI synths. So what I do with the MIDI is I actually have a device that just continuously analyzes what I'm playing. It's tracking velocity, pitch, where I am on the fretboard, and I can assign that to parameters of effects. So that's actually pretty powerful on its own. Like one thing I like is I can make the delay louder as I go up the fretboard, or softer as I go back down, stuff like that, where it just
Sure.
It's just kind of analyzing everything I do, and I can use that.
So would you say, because this is so, such a sensitive piece of technology, would you say that that's part of what helped you develop your incredible touch on the instrument that you can hear? If you check out Claire's, I'm sorry, which Chopin is it again?
It's a waltz in A minor.
That's the waltz in A minor. It is, there's just she has such a delicate touch and like a sensitive way of approaching the stick. The stick, I feel like, can be kind of a hard instrument to be expressive on if you're not careful, and I don't think Claire has that problem.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, it's not like I remember when Tom Greisgraber described some stick players are playing like they are playing on a typewriter.
Yeah.
And she does not play that way.
Not at all.
I mean, I think I can maybe attest that. I mean, I have a lot of formal classical piano training, and I mean, I think I've been able to maybe translate some of that to stick. I will say I did part of working on this. I don't necessarily recommend learning a new instrument and doing a grad program at the exact same time.
Double
I
stress.
don't regret doing it, but it was a lot of work. I would say I pretty much, like, the week I got my instrument, got in touch with Greg and started taking lessons with him.
Cool.
And I saw lessons. Sorry?
Good choice.
Yeah.
Thanks. And part of the reason for that is we all know Greg kind of really pushes that hand movement thing, and that just made a lot of sense to me because that's how you play piano.
Right.
You don't play piano like a typewriter either. There's a lot of hand movement and motion.
Sure.
And so it made sense to me to try that, and I'm kind of pretty glad I did. I think when I first contacted him, he as any teacher would, he asked me what my goals were, and it was like really just to get up and running on the instrument as quickly as possible.
Mm-hmm.
Because I had all the stuff I wanted to do with it, and I couldn't play it yet.
Right.
So he was just kind of a huge part of that. So.
Sure. So cycling back a little bit.
Yeah.
If we were to hear what your masters, that whole setup, if you were to sit down and play a concert with that setup, what kind of things could we expect? Because I'm having trouble wrapping my head around.
Yeah.
Like I understand the control aspect of it, but you were saying something like
there's more to it.
It plays with it itself too.
Yeah, it's what it actually does. That control aspect is just one piece of it.
Right.
What the system actually does is it parses phrases that I play and assigns them to do certain things. So the way I've routed it.
In layman's terms, when you say that.
So I'll play a phrase and it's kind of sort of recording it. It's not loop based, but you can think of it very flexible loops maybe.
Okay, sure.
And then with the MIDI setup, I can tell, like, okay, I played a phrase, which is in my system is just triggered by audio. So I'll play something, and it's just doing that on the melody side. So I'll play a phrase, and then it looks at what I played, looks at the MIDI data, and parses that based on, initially it's the number of notes. So a really short phrase will become a drone track. So what happens to that audio is it gets slowed down a lot. I'm using phase vocoders. It slows down a lot, gets a lot of processing, and kind of provides a sound bed for everything.
Whoa.
But because it's based on what I played, it still relates to kind of what I'm working on.
Right.
Medium-sized phrases become more. I kind of look at their interval profile, and those become kind of. Sorry, I got a really loud truck near me here. Yeah. Those kind of repeat, but change over time. Like they'll go faster, they'll go slower, but they'll kind of repeat over time. So phrases that I've played like at least twice will become more kind of thematic material in the work. And I've also, my actual thesis topic was, this will be fun to describe. It's a Markov process. What that does is it looks at the notes that I've played and looks at the probability of going to other notes. So I guess to put it simply, it basically takes my audio, chops it up, and replays very similar things based on the probabilities of what I've played before. So instead of being a loop, I know, like I said, I'm going to try to get this online as soon as I can.
Right.
But what you end up with is a new melody that resembles what you've played, but it's never actually the same.
So, oh, wow. So this is, I'm trying to wrap my head around this.
Like I said, I'm going to try to get some stuff posted about what it's actually doing. And, I mean, I guess I could see if I can post the clip that I have of it. It's just kind of, so improvised, affected stick is really what it boils down to.
So you wind up in an actual jam session with your computer?
Pretty much, yeah.
Wow. Wow, that's incredible. So this is like... cutting edge of like MIDI technology and stuff like that.
Did you?
Yeah, and the great thing, like I said, oh, sorry, Dan, you have a question?
Well, I'm sorry. Did you visualize your major with the stick in mind, or did the major come first and then the stick come?
Like I said, it kind of came together. I had some interest in. I had taken a course that got me into. It was actually a course where we went over the Markov process stuff, and that got me interested in interactive music. And like I said, it's somehow the planets aligned a certain way that someone said, hey, you should look at the stick. I don't know. And like I said, it just seemed like the perfect instrument for it because you have so many options. I can process the bass and melody side. I can take the MIDI of the bass and melody side separately. It offered a lot of options. It's portable. I can practice at home.
Yeah.
It just really offered a lot of stuff. And the other aspect of the stick isn't just the technical part. It's just the whole tuning was like that really clicked for me when I realized the symmetry of the fourths and fifths. It was like, wow, that just makes so much sense.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It just all clicked together for me at some point. Certainly, the evolution of the system, like the part about parsing phrases, that was just an idea I had, and I went with it. There's been a lot of things that I've studied over the course of my program that influenced kind of what I did.
Sure.
I definitely did a lot of study of musical pieces, other interactive pieces, and I would say those all kind of really influenced what I ended up doing. I will say, like, Greg's Water on the Moon album had a huge influence. Just, he's kind of doing with, a couple of effects what I wanted to do with a whole interactive system. So, but yeah, I definitely talked to him a lot about processing and ways to use that creatively. So a lot of those effects are implemented.
Interesting.
Very cool.
So when you play into your system, does it loop back and change phrases as it's looping? Is that how it works?
Pretty much. Right now it'll take a phrase and kind of what it does is it can pitch and time stretch everything.
Wow.
So as the phrases go along, they're kind of evolving.
Right. So is there like a specific or like several specific algorithms that dictate how a phrase is going to go, or how does that work exactly?
I have various settings I can put, and also I'm kind of part of what I did was initially when I set it up, it was really too easy to kind of play to the system. You quickly learn how it responds, and it becomes less interesting, I think. So I actually built in things that make it more random, so I'm less inclined to know what it's going to do next. So a lot of those phrases I build in, I can set the speed changes somewhat randomly. I usually have a range.
Mm-hmm.
The number of times it repeats varies quite a bit based on probability.
So let me just, from an audience perspective, if I were to sit down and go to a Claire Steger show, it would basically be like, would you have actual songs, or would it be sort of like a already composed improvisational piece between you and your computer?
Nothing is composed. That's part of what I'm working on. Nothing is pre-recorded. Everything that I play is real time.
Wow, that's so cool.
So that's actually
improv.
That's actually been a huge part of learning stick. Is I come from classical background, and I'm not a jazz player, and I'm not used to improvising. So that's actually a lot of what I've been working on to be able to do this. So now I think right now I'm kind of at a point. Part of what I need to do more is play with the system, because it's taken me a long time to do the tech on it, and you have to play with it to really get comfortable with it.
Sure.
Well, Claire, after hearing all that, you owe us a lot of recordings.
Yeah.
You can't come in here and drop this on us out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Russell.
I'll see if I can post at least one of the clips of the system that I have.
Yeah, now we want to see this happen.
Yeah.
Oh, now it's gonna be like the big letdown. This is all it does now.
So what do you foresee doing with this technology? Are you gonna take it and like sell it, or try and find a buyer for it? What do you want to do with it?
It's really kind of a personal rig, and I use a lot. It's actually a little bit of a pain to set up. I mean, I've got dual MIDI going to two GI20s. I've got, I got an axe effect because the latency I was getting going right through the computer just wasn't working. So, it's right now it's kind of too personalized
Sure.
to really send out to people. Like I said, I am hoping to share a lot of what I've been doing.
Sure. I could imagine that you know since it's just a MIDI program itself, the controller can be pretty variable depending on what you want to work with, and I can imagine that a lot of like people who play keys or like stick with the synth and stuff like that would really be all over this.
Yeah, I think that little analyzer that does the MIDI analysis could be useful to people.
Yeah.
The rest of it is actually, it's mostly audio. It's only using MIDI. The rest of the system only uses MIDI for figuring out what kind of phrases I'm playing. After that, it's all in the audio realm.
Oh, okay. All right, gotcha. Yeah, yeah, Andy. I don't know if the chat is going to show up.
I see some of them pop up. I'm not. I don't have time to read. I can't read and talk at the same time. So.
Right. But yeah, I am super excited to hear what this sounds like. Claire, what's your experience been with having both sides of the stick be MIDI'd up?
Well, I have the Roland pickups, obviously.
Yeah.
The bass tracks really well. It's obviously a little slower because it's lower frequencies. But I don't really get errors on that side.
Okay.
It's just, physics and stuff. It's going to take a little longer to grab the note.
Sure.
The melody side, I generally get more errors. Typically, it'll be when I release a note, it'll try to trigger a half step up.
Interesting.
And when I play stuff, it'll often grab the next string over as well.
Interesting.
But I've built, because the MIDI isn't really in real time, I actually built an error correction so that it weeds out those false triggers.
Cool.
So it's hard to work on data when it's incorrect, so I had to kind of make it a little more correct. So I do have that going on both sides, really, but it tends to filter out really most of the errors that I get.
What is Andy's asking, do these mistriggers add an interesting element when working with the program, or is it just irritating?
That's a really good question. So if you were just using MIDI directly to a synth, they would just sound potentially like wrong notes. They're actually really low velocity levels, but you'd probably still hear them. Because they're mistriggers, what they would tend to do in my system is for that little analysis engine that I talked about, it would just give me inaccurate data. Like it would show that it's playing across two strings instead of one, or it would show the wrong notes. In terms of the phrase analysis, it would definitely give me bad data because it would be adding notes that I'm not playing. So it would think it's a phrase that's like 3 notes with a different interval profile than what I actually played. So it would actually really throw it off in my case.
Gotcha. So that correction is beyond important. That correction.
It is really, yeah, it is. It kind of needed to do it, yeah.
Okay. So Claire, what model stick and what wood and what are the specs on your instrument?
Well, I kind of went a little crazy with sticks. I started off with a 10-string bamboo.
Oh, hey, that's what I have.
Yeah, that was the one I had at the seminar.
Okay, cool.
10-string bamboo. I had the active pickups and dual MIDI, and that's the one I've used in the system so far. I decided to get a 12-string because I wanted more notes, so I now have I have this beauty now, which is it's a rosewood, and I don't know the recent rosewood stuff. I love the grain on it.
Beautiful, yeah.
And they did this. They did a custom MIDI pod install for me.
You hold it up a little bit higher?
Wow, yeah, a little bit higher. Oh, cool! Look at that.
Wow, it looks like dual MIDI or something.
Yep, it is. It is. But usually they set the pods like on the sides here, which I didn't really like, and putting it on the back is not a good idea if you need to get to those buttons. But I don't, so I kind of liked it on the back. It's less in the way. I like how it looks better. It's less noticeable that I have MIDI.
Yeah. Whoops, sorry. I'm trying to figure out how to make the focus go on to Claire. I'm still kind of new at this.
It's certainly not anything to be embarrassed about, especially with what you're doing with it. The MIDI, I mean.
Oh, I'm not embarrassed. I think it's more of an aesthetic, I guess. The stick just has a look to it, you know.
I hear you.
Yeah.
And I see Andy's question. Yes and no. I guess I should say the question. Andy asked if there was a big transition between the 10 and the 12. It's been a lot more work than I anticipated. It's in a weird way, it is actually a huge difference. The string spacing's different. It really looks different. Somehow having 2 more strings, when you look down at the thing, it's like, what's all these strings? You know, it is really different. But I dig it. I don't want to go back. I had started on. I went with baritone melody, and so the transition in the tuning is actually pretty easy. And I got the high bass 4th on it, which I'm really liking. It just gives a lot of options up there. And I kind of had a splurge and bought an SG-12 as well. No MIDI on that one. So actually my long scale sticks have active pickups, and the SG-12 has the passive.
Cool.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, absolutely.
Sorry, just wanted to know what your experience was with the Freehands Academy last August, and what attracted you to it, and your personal experience with it.
It was amazing. I mean, just quite frankly, I think that was one of the codes you guys used. It was just an amazing. I mean, I went last year, and I went in 2013, and I went in 2014, and actually, in the last 2 years, I've gone to 4 stick seminars. I went to Vancouver in May of 2013. I went to Freehands Academy in the fall, or August, I guess. And then I did the Northeast Stick Seminar in earlier this year, and then Freehands Academy again. And that's honestly, I just recommend that to anyone. Just go to a seminar.
Yeah. Wow.
It's so fun, and I mean, I was trying to actually, think through all the people I've had an opportunity to take to either get a private lesson or a group kind of lesson clinic with, and it's a lot of people. I've really had an opportunity to meet not only some of the preeminent players and educators, but Freehands Academy drew a lot of people. I've met stick players from Russia, France, UK, Canada, Chile. I'm probably missing some. Egypt, right?
Right.
So yeah, I mean that was just a lot of
Brooklyn.
fun. Sorry.
And Long Island.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a great experience.
So what do you think from those seminars? What do you think you've taken away the most?
Taken away that I've learned so much at the seminars. I guess honestly, what's really fun is just getting to interact with people.
Sure.
Everybody's so open about what they're doing. I mean, every let's say official teacher is just so excited to share what they do and how they do it. Just a real enthusiasm, I think, from everyone. And I guess that generally feeds the general vibe, and I would say this, I didn't go to any seminars my first year playing stick. I don't really remember if there weren't any or if I was just too scared to, and I guess that may be my advice to maybe new folks. Don't be scared to go to a clinic just because you've only had your stick a month or something. Just go. You'll learn so much more.
Yeah. Brad had just been playing for a month when he came to the North.
I think he started playing that day.
You think?
I think so. He bought that stick.
Oh man, yeah, he was. Yeah,
and he was amazing right off the bat. So.
Talk about bravery and natural talent, right?
and I would say I think that brings out kind of the, brings that out in all of us, just sharing kind of what we know and like, hey, I can do like try this and try that, and you learn a lot from fellow attendees as well.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I think I learned probably just as much from like you and Dean and everybody as I did from like Greg and Michael and Brett.
And the interesting thing that I've noticed is the seminars really take on kind of a character of their host. Like the Northeast seminar is very different from the Vancouver seminar with Jim Meyer and Free Hands Academy with kind of Gene and Robin now, and I guess Dan's probably doing a lot of that too. They all have a very different vibe, you know.
Yeah.
I don't know that I'm gonna get to go to anything this year. I'll see.
Bummer.
I was hoping I'd love to go to Interlochen one of these days. Then would obviously definitely want to go to I mean, I'd go to Free Hands Academy again if I could, you know.
Sure. So, would you play something for us?
So what I think I might do is maybe play a couple of excerpts of things I'm working on and maybe show why I'm working on them.
Yeah, that'd be great.
What I'm learning. Like I gotta say, like I know, so mostly everything people have heard from me is like Chopin at this point. So I'm like classical stick player. I never set out to play classical music on stick. It was actually something I was trying to avoid. To be perfectly honest, because that's what I've done on piano. And that Chopin actually started with Greg suggesting that I just work on something I know. It was actually a bear to learn, especially considering I was so familiar with it on. But I guess I'll say this: I do grab like I learn written music a lot more easily than I learn other ways. Like I'm not a chart reader, I'm not, you know, but I can learn written music a lot more easily.
Sure.
So I guess from that perspective, I think anyone working on this stuff just needs to find what works for them. But I guess I use the stuff, you know, as more of technical, just improving my technique.
Right.
So I guess, so some of the things I'm working on, some of them are just, I like the tunes or they're different pieces. There's one tune that turned out to be kind of interesting, and I didn't realize it would be so interesting for stick. Let's see if I can get through it, but it's a Bobby McFerrin tune, so I'll just play a little bit of it.
Sure.
So yeah, that's in progress.
Cool.
But it's thanks.
That was
wrong
great.
notes there. That's kind of the gist of the piece.
Yeah.
That's the melody, and it's got that ostinato, and it's basically Bobby McFerrin on voice and Yo-Yo Ma on cello. Sorry, I'm reading some of these.
Some of the comments, yeah.
And it just drew me to it because it's actually a really cool piece. It's in like 13/8, so it's a nice little rhythmic challenge.
Oh yeah. All about stupid time signatures like that.
But the thing I discovered when I started transcribing, so my goal with it is that throughout the piece, Bobby McFerrin and Yo-Yo Ma, they kind of trade off doing that ostinato and doing the melody, or, I mean, I'm not sure if it's improvised or something, but I figure I could try to do that and switch off the hands doing the arpeggio or the melody, and that would be an interesting way to work on independence and interdependence and all that.
Right.
When I transcribe the piece, I mean, I probably should be better at recognizing intervals, but it's really interesting on stick because, you know, the first part is, so it's all fifths going up.
Yeah. And then fourths
going down. And if I could actually play the two hands right now, it's like, so you're working kind of diagonally in the different sections. So when it's the fifths, you're going diagonally in the right hand and straight across in the left hand. And then it flips around when you come back down.
Right.
So it's like a really interesting way to have to move your hands.
Right.
so that's in progress.
So, and the left-hand movement, that's in an attempt to preserve the notes as written on the bass side, right?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Cool. It shifts around a lot.
Yeah. So what else are you working on?
What else am I working on? This is actually a piece I think I attempted to play. It's kind of like contemporary classical. It's a Hinastera piece. I think I attempted to play it at various seminars. Still not. I'm getting close to being able to actually play through it, but I can play.
I'm sorry. Would you turn the stick up a little bit, please?
Sure.
Thank you.
I'm just kind of. Yeah, so it's a Hinastera piece, and it's the second movement from Dances Argentinas. Let's see if I can get through kind of that first section. So that's like the first section.
Yeah, very cool.
And that one's been kind of interesting. Just again, it's a lot of that kind of across motion. It gave me a good opportunity. There's a lot of like probably getting blocked by the
faces.
The faces. Actually, I should probably stay a little closer. It gives an opportunity to really work on. There's one section.
Wow, really helps out with the sustain, huh?
What does?
The right hand aspect of that song.
Yeah. So, but being able to like working through those kind of inner parts because you're doing two parts, and also it's like it's a long little piece, but it requires a lot of kind of phrasing.
Sure.
So getting that right, working on that. That piece, there's a section as well that Hinastera does at least in this piece a lot with clusters. And what's interesting in this piece is they end up being stacked fourths.
Huh. Easy.
So they're actually really, yeah. It's like, you just kind of, you kind of find that shape in your hand and you're good to go for like the whole section.
Right.
Nice.
So that's coming from that's a piano piece?
Yes, yes.
So do you find piano translates particularly well onto the stick, or is there a specific like style or instrument that translates especially well that you've played?
I think I've looked at pieces that I'm familiar with. Like I said, that little Chopin piece was that was something I'd sight read as a warm up on piano, so I was really familiar with it, and it's a piece I like.
Right.
And that one worked out really well in that it's all like. So it actually is written that way. It's like the root, and then you got the fifth and the third above it. So root 5-10. It's like perfect for bass chords on the stick.
Sure. Yeah, it's like made.
I didn't really have to do much to that piece to play it on stick. It just worked. Again, that Hinastera piece has just a lot of fifths, and it turned out that the whole fourths cluster thing, it just worked out. I would imagine there's a lot of classical piano music that wouldn't work so well, and I think that's why those guys who are really trying to play that go to the fourths, the mirrored fourths, when you're doing a lot of the third stuff, like a lot of the triadic harmony with the thirds and the chords.
Right, just isn't going to sit.
That would be tough on the bass side in fifths.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I guess I've just managed to find pieces that I don't know. I grab stuff that I like that I want to play.
Sure.
I think it's really important. Like don't work on stuff you don't like. There's no point.
Yeah, I hear that.
So yeah, just a couple quick examples of stuff I'm working on. But
Very cool. Do you have anything else?
Nice.
You have like another one?
I can attempt this one just to show you. I'm actually learning this one on the SG-12. It's a Debussy piece.
Ooh.
And this one, I'll see if I can get through it on I don't play it on here, and it'll actually be in the wrong key on this guy, but.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
So that one. I mean, everybody
I
knows
love
the
it.
tune, and that one's actually been fun
Wow.
on SG-12 because
I want to hear that on stick.
I'm working on it.
That's got to, Claire. That's definitely got to be the next video you do.
Ooh, it's gonna be a while.
Yeah.
I just started this one.
That's okay.
Sounds good. Just what you did sounded pretty great.
Thanks.
Yeah, yeah.
This is kind of like one of those. I think I just happen upon stuff that ends up working for what because. This is the high bass fourths. Like I couldn't do this quite so easily on just a regular classic tuning. So it's given me.
How about Satie? Any thoughts about Satie?
I
instrument?
don't know. Yeah, I haven't played a lot of his stuff. I honestly, when I played piano, I did a lot of Beethoven,
I want to hear that.
Debussy.
I want to hear that piece on the stick that goes da 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 da.
Is that?
If you know the name, send me what it is. I'll see if I can get through.
It's Nocien. It's one of the Nocien.
Oh, those, yeah. Those I could probably get through.
God, those are so great.
Cool.
Anyway, I'm sorry. I have to bug out. It's been wonderful. And
All right, thanks for joining us.
yeah,
Good to see you, Dan.
Thanks for being there.
Yeah, see you around. So Claire, share a funny story about.
No, I'm terrible at funny stories.
Well, tell us something that stuck with you, made you laugh at maybe at one of the seminars or something involving the stick. You know what? Actually, tell us a story about maybe like a time when one of your students or one of the Berkeley kids saw you playing the stick or saw the stick for the first time.
Oh, yeah. It's actually really interesting that I'm kind of. I think people must think I've joined a cult or something because I really love the stick and I talk about it because I love it. And I've had students who find out about that and they come ask me about it. And I recently had a student who I think plays guitar, and I was talking to him and kind of describing again like what I really didn't understand about the stick initially is the tuning, how beautiful it is, and like the fourths, fifths, and describing that he was like, wow, that makes a lot of sense. So I guess that aspect of maybe helping people get enlightened about what the stick is, why it's not a guitar.
Right.
Yeah, that's.
Have you ever gotten that like bug-eyed look and then like, oh, is that an electric sitar?
I haven't, but that one's really funny,
I get that a fair amount, honestly. People just aren't sure what the hell it is. Oh, you play an electric sitar? No.
Sitar has I think it actually has more strings even.
It's got like a bunch of strings and then just a butt ton of drone strings. Yeah, 44 exactly. Andy's saying it's 44.
Are you guys asking why people think it's a sitar?
Yeah, I mean it's kind of shaped that way,
I think people just don't know what it is, so they guess like the most exotic thing they can think of. I don't know.
It's like how they say that like the Native Americans didn't see the ships coming because they didn't know what ships were. They didn't know what they looked like. It's like you kind of fit everything into a box that you already know. Even if you know it. So that's probably, shape-wise, that's probably the closest thing. I mean, nobody's asking me why I've got a hammer with strings on it. But, I could see that being a question because it is, it is something like that. Rob has a question. What's your question, Rob?
Well, you actually just kind of segued into it nicely, so take advantage. Speaking of thinking of things in terms of what you already know, I'm wondering, Claire, the issues you have with mistriggers and MIDI.
Yeah.
Do you think that is the, did you say it was a GI-20 you use, or two of them?
Yeah.
Yeah, do you think that's an interpretation problem in terms of what the GI-20 expects to get? Or do you think that's more a detection problem in terms of the pickup or the signal, the noise ratio, whatever?
It could be a number of things. I mean, what the triggers actually kind of make sense if you think through, like I said, the releases are a half step up. So I think what's happening is it's still getting audio as I release, and it somehow grabs the pitch of that half step lower as I release the note. Because that's, if you think sonically what's coming through, on some level, I could maybe just work on my technique a bit more. I have really attempted to work on that to try to clean up my playing. But there's a certain point where it's just really hard to do that. And then obviously the fourths across, it's probably just, my fingers hitting the string or something. In a certain sense, if you think of what's happening acoustically on the instrument, it actually those triggers make sense.
Sure.
Even though I consider them false triggers, they make sense. And on some level, I could try to work more on technique to do that. I found a way to get rid of the worst triggers that I had, so I went with it.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like you got two options. You can either work on your technique and be a musician, or you can be a geek and just build in a pad somewhere so it can't detect that stuff.
Yeah.
Andy's got to head out, so thanks a bunch for being here, man.
See you, Andy.
Bye, guys.
Catch you later. Good luck on your test. Oh, he left. Cool. Well, so I think we got to wrap up kind of soon.
Yeah.
Two questions. One, what advice would you have for new players? Like, and I'm talking like, I guess kind of twofold in terms of mindset, like how to approach the instrument, and physically, like with your hands, technique-wise, what kind of advice would you give to somebody who's just getting started?
On both accounts, don't think of it as any other instrument but a stick. I think a lot of people come into it and think it's going to be a guitar or bass. Again, I came from piano, so it was maybe a little easier to disconnect myself from that. But it's its own instrument. It has its own technique. There are still, I think, very few instruments that are specifically designed to be tapped. And stick is, I guess the first one, or one of them, just really does, I guess it is the first one really designed to do that. And I think that requires a different technique. In terms of, like, physically how to do it, that's kind of really a personal thing you have to figure out. I would say try different things, take lessons. I think that's the thing I would say. I see a lot of people post on Stickiest asking for help, and it's like, man, just take a lesson.
Yeah.
You'll get so much out of like that half hour of like you'll have a month's worth of stuff to work on.
Yeah.
And you won't be doing. I think for me also a lot of trying to take lessons early on was to avoid bad habits. I think it's way too easy to start with bad habits. And I have an old like shoulder injury, and so I'm very keenly aware of how painful it can be to play if you play wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And I really wanted to focus on that. I actually went through, the other thing is be patient with yourself, which is really hard. It takes a long time to get like feeling like you can actually play this thing. So, I went through, I think, a few times where my wrist would start to hurt, and, I worked through kind of, the angles and stuff and figured that all out. And on some level, I just realized I was doing too much too soon.
Uh-huh.
My hands just weren't used to moving that way or doing that way, and I had to back off a little bit each time and kind of really refocus on making sure I had the right positioning. And that's one thing that's really also great about the stick is it's so ergonomic. I can stand and play the stick for like a couple hours and
right, and be totally comfortable with it.
Completely, Yeah, and like I said earlier, go to seminars. I would say just don't sit in the room by yourself. You do have to do that. You have to practice, and that's the only way you're going to make progress. But don't let that be the only thing you do.
Right.
Seek out other players in your area. Like, I don't know, everybody I've ever met would be happy to meet up with a new player and kind of go over stuff.
Sure.
And if no one's in your area, see if somebody will Skype with you, grab a lesson, go to a seminar, just join Stickist and ask questions,
Very cool.
Kind of my advice.
And then the other question that I had is, where do you see yourself as a stick player in the future? Like, what do you think? What kind of avenues do you see yourself pursuing? And like, are you gonna is it gonna remain kind of a intellectual thing, or are you gonna pursue performing more, or do you see yourself composing for it a lot, or continuing down this like really intense MTech path that you're on? Kind of.
Yes. No. I guess it's hard for me to know right now. I've really been so focused on my master's degree stuff. Like I said, I've had kind of two-part of just really being focused on the master's degree stuff and really focusing on technique. Like I really set out to work on my technique right off the bat, so that at whatever point I felt I could just tackle other things and not worry about the how to play it and just do it. And I've got a lot of stuff I kind of want to do. I was actually thinking of trying to maybe really start composing and go for an album, but I've also got all these ideas of things I just want to get out. So maybe it just might be a couple songs here and there, And like I said, I do want to go through and kind of document the work I've done.
Cool.
I don't know that I really see like a performance thing. It's I definitely want to present sort of the system and do that. Again, part of I guess the issue of the way I've been focused on things, I don't really have much repertoire to play, So, work on that a bit, and we'll see.
Very cool. Any questions from anybody else?
You have one.
Sure.
I hate to go straight to gear, but it's what my brain goes to straight away. Claire, I know you said you have an active 2 pickup on the main stick with the MIDI. What are your other pickups?
Sorry?
What are your other pickups on your other sticks?
My 2 full-scale sticks have the active 2, and then the SG-12 has a passive.
I see. I might have to PM you later.
What's that?
I might have to PM you later. I'm having a thought.
Oh, all right, go for it. Yeah,
Cool.
I mean that's the thing is like if you see me on Facebook or on Stickist, ask away. I'm happy to
Send a message over. Yeah.
residual questions, or if anybody isn't live and has some questions after seeing this, then you can find me on Stickist.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think that's about all the questions that I've got. If anybody else has something that pops to mind right now, now's the chance to ask. If not, Claire, thank you so much.
Thank you, Josh.
Yeah, this has been lovely.
Thank you all for sitting in. It was fun.
Looking forward to more videos from you. Absolutely.
I will get working on that.
Yeah, please do. It's you have, like I said earlier, you have such a great touch to the instrument. You're talking about how you tried to tackle technique and stuff like that. It really shows.
Thank you. Thank
Yeah.
you.
So, I mean, I constantly push this myself just because I think it's a good thing for the instrument, but I would love to see some videos where you break down your arrangements and you teach the technique and you teach like the thought process that goes into taking a piece for piano and arranging it for the stick and how you're going about moving your hands. I would love to see something like that.
Okay, cool. I did post that Chopin. I posted the staff tab arrangement on Stickist.
Oh, did you? I missed that.
I did. So if anyone has questions about that, like why I did what, definitely hit me up and let me know.
Great. Cool. Well, I guess that's about call it a day. Thank you again, and thanks for everybody for being here.
Thank you all.
Yeah. All right. Sayonara.